The Vanishing of the Minerve. A strange enigma unfolded, and merely 2 days following the disappearance of the INS Dakar, another submarine suffered a similar fate. This time it was the French vessel Minerve. The Minerve was a diesel-electric submarine, agile, modern, and built with advanced capabilities. She was brought into active service in 1964 and was regarded as dependable and efficient. On January 27, 1968, the Minerve was carrying out a standard naval drill just a few miles from the shoreline of Toulon, France. That morning, the sea was restless. Fierce winds and rough swells battered the area, challenging but not out of the ordinary for the Mediterranean. At precisely 7:55 a.m., the Minerve sent what would be her final message, reporting both her location and her expected arrival time. Everything appeared routine, yet moments afterward, nothing. She never made it back to harbor. There were no mayday calls, no alerts, no distress messages. The French Navy instantly launched a full-scale search. The mission was massive. Both aircraft and ships combed the surrounding waters near Toulon. Even Jacques Cousteau participated in the operation, employing his team's cutting-edge equipment to probe the ocean floor. Despite their best efforts, no fragment or clue from the Minerve surfaced. For more than half a century, her fate stood as one of the Mediterranean's most enduring unsolved mysteries. It was only in 2019, through the use of highly advanced sonar scanning technology, that the Minerve's remains were discovered. The wreck lay approximately 45 kilometers south of Toulon, submerged over 2,300 meters deep. The find provided long-awaited resolution, yet it also sparked fresh questions. The wreckage indicated a swift and devastating failure, most likely stemming from a mechanical malfunction or rough sea turbulence. But without a thorough and detailed analysis of the wreck, the precise cause remains a matter of conjecture. What made the disappearance of the Minerve even more unsettling was its proximity to land. In contrast to the Dakar, which vanished in the open Mediterranean, the Minerve disappeared virtually within eyesight of her home port, mere kilometers from safety. All 52 crew members were lost in an instant, just 2 days after the Dakar. The Mediterranean, so often calm and familiar, suddenly became the backdrop to two of the Cold War's most harrowing submarine enigmas. Two vessels gone in less than a week. The sea, typically serene, had now become the final resting place for two of the Cold War's most haunting and unexplained naval tragedies. The disappearance of the K-129, secrets beneath the Pacific. Far away from the calm waters of the Mediterranean, in the cold and boundless reaches of the Pacific Ocean, yet another submarine was about to mysteriously vanish. This time, the vessel in question was the Soviet K-129. The K-129 was a Gulf II class submarine equipped to launch ballistic missiles, a formidable presence during the Cold War. Armed with nuclear payloads and 3 powerful missiles, she possessed the capacity to obliterate targets within her range. On February 24, 1968, she departed from the Rybachi naval base in the far eastern region of the Soviet Union, embarking on what was supposed to be a standard patrol. Like many operations during that tense period, the mission was cloaked in secrecy. For several weeks, the K-129 cruised beneath the waves, undetected, a silent predator navigating the vast Pacific. But in early March, something went terribly wrong. The submarine ceased all communication. Initially, Soviet commanders assumed it was simply a routine disruption, not uncommon for submarines operating deep underwater. However, as time wore on, concern gave way to dread. A vast search operation was mobilized. Over 40 naval vessels and numerous aircraft combed the Pacific Ocean, scanning thousands of square miles for any trace of the missing submarine. Despite these efforts, not a single clue was uncovered. The disappearance baffled Soviet authorities. A submarine of such scale and sophistication shouldn't have just disappeared, unless something disastrous had occurred. What the Soviets didn't realize was that the US Navy had already detected a clue, through their top-secret SOSUS sound surveillance system, an underwater acoustic monitoring network used to track Soviet subs. On March 8, 1968, SOSUS picked up a distinctive sound northwest of Hawaii, an underwater explosion, low and powerful, echoing through the deep. Using this data, the U.S. Navy pinpointed the location of the K-129's wreckage at a staggering depth of nearly 5,000 meters. The submarine's frame had been crushed and torn apart by immense underwater forces. For the United States, this was a significant revelation. For the Soviets, it was just another mystery without a resolution. But the story did not end there. 6 years later, in 1974, the CIA initiated a highly classified mission of unparalleled scale. The operation was codenamed Project Azorian. Its objective, to recover the K-129 from its deep-sea grave, lying almost 3 miles beneath the Pacific surface, a task never attempted before. This wasn't just a recovery mission, it was one of the most daring and expensive covert salvage efforts ever mounted. The CIA reportedly invested over $800 million, a sum that would amount to several billion in today's dollars, to build a colossal recovery vessel, the Glomar Explorer. Officially, the ship was said to be part of a deep ocean mining initiative, a cover so elaborate it deceived nearly all observers, including international intelligence agencies. Why go to such lengths? Because the K-129 wasn't just an ordinary wreck. It housed nuclear warheads, encrypted Soviet communication systems, and potentially invaluable insight into the USSR's strategic military assets. Even fragments could offer the US clues into Soviet capabilities and long-term plans, intelligence that might alter the course of the Cold War. The veil of secrecy over Project Azorian was so thick that it remained undisclosed for decades. Even now, much of what the CIA retrieved remains undisclosed, sparking endless speculation about what truly lay on the ocean floor. The mission met with limited success, using a colossal claw-like device referred to as the capture vehicle. The Glomar Explorer managed to hoist a section of the submarine to the surface, an extraordinary engineering feat. Among the debris were torpedoes, parts of the command center, and the remains of several Soviet sailors. These fallen crew members were reportedly laid to rest at sea with full military honors. But beyond those known findings, the full extent of what was recovered remains under wraps. Was it the nuclear weapons, the cryptographic equipment, or perhaps something even more startling? Official statements remain vague, and theories surrounding the CIA's objectives only continue to grow. As for the cause of the K-129 sinking, multiple theories exist, none definitive. Some speculate mechanical failure, such as an unintentional missile detonation or a catastrophic hull breach. Others believe the submarine may have collided with the USS Swordfish, implying a Cold War clash that both nations agreed to keep silent. Then there's the Soviet explanation, sabotage, the possibility that a mutinous crew member tried to defect with nuclear arms, leading to disaster. What adds another eerie layer to this saga is that the K-129 was not the only submarine lost under mysterious circumstances during that period. Just weeks earlier, both the INS Dakar and the French submarine Minerve had also disappeared under unexplained conditions. 3 advanced submarines from 3 different nations, all lost without warning. Could a hidden force have been at play? An unknown cause linking these tragedies together? Whatever truths lie at the bottom of the ocean, the wreckage of the K-129 still rests in silence, entombed in the deep Pacific, guarding its secrets as tightly as the unsolved mysteries surrounding the other vanished submarines of that fateful year. The Vanishing of INS Dakar. Let's begin with the story of the INS Dakar. Originally a British T-class submarine that had served during World War II, the Dakar was later upgraded and brought into modern service by the 1960s. Israel acquired the vessel and thoroughly overhauled it, placing it under the command of an experienced crew of 69 personnel. On January 9, 1968, The Dakar departed from Portsmouth, England, setting course for Haifa, Israel. The voyage was expected to be uneventful, less than 3 weeks at sea. For most of the journey, everything went smoothly. The submarine consistently reported its location and progress through routine communications. But on January 24th, as the Dakar neared the eastern reaches of the Mediterranean, something inexplicable occurred. That evening, she sent a standard message. Nothing unusual was reported. Then, suddenly, all communication stopped. There were no distress signals, no emergency alerts. By January 25th, the submarine was officially declared missing. The search operation that followed was enormous. Israel mounted what would become one of the largest maritime search and rescue efforts in its history. The United States Navy and other allies joined the effort. Ships, aircraft, and sophisticated sonar systems swept the Mediterranean for weeks, but the sea offered no answers. It was as if the Dakar had vanished without a trace. It wasn't until 1999, more than 3 decades later, that her final resting place was located. The wreck was found nearly 3,000 meters below the surface, situated between the islands of Cyprus and Crete. The hull of the submarine had been torn into 2 separate pieces, yet the reason for the disaster remains unresolved. Some experts suspect a devastating technical malfunction. Others propose the possibility of a collision, or even deliberate sabotage. To this day, the real cause continues to elude discovery. The mystery remains unsolved. The USS Scorpion, a silent end in the Atlantic. Now we arrive at the mystery of the USS Scorpion. Among all the submarine disappearances in 1968, the loss of the Scorpion is both the most thoroughly recorded and perhaps the most chilling of them all. The Scorpion was a skipjack-class nuclear-powered submarine, one of the most cutting-edge war machines in the United States Navy at the time. Sleek in design, exceptionally fast, and built for destruction, her primary mission was clear: to seek out and eliminate enemy submarines. During this tense period, with US-Soviet relations balanced on a knife's edge, every patrol was charged with Cold War urgency, and the Scorpion's mission was no exception. In May of 1968, the submarine was on her way back to her home port in Norfolk, Virginia, after spending a month operating in the Mediterranean Sea. During her deployment, she had been closely observing Soviet naval movements, gathering intelligence, and conducting operations that, while routine in appearance, were anything but routine in the geopolitical climate of the time. On May 21st, the Scorpion sent what would be her last communication. The crew provided a status report and an estimated time of arrival back at base. Everything appeared normal. The submarine was functioning as expected, and her return was just days away. But by May 26th, there was still no sign of her. No contact, no distress messages, no emergency signals. The vessel had simply vanished. The US Navy quickly began a frantic search operation. Planes and ships were dispatched across the Atlantic, releasing sonar buoys and sweeping every part of the submarine's last known route. Her final position had been transmitted 5 days earlier, focusing the search on a region southwest of the Azores. However, the Atlantic is unimaginably vast, and locating a lost vessel at such depths proved nearly impossible. As the days passed with no discoveries, hope faded. For the loved ones of the 99 sailors on board, the agonizing uncertainty grew heavier with each passing moment. Eventually, after extensive and tireless effort, sonar scans detected an anomaly far below the surface. The wreck of the Scorpion was located approximately 400 miles southwest of the Azores, resting at a depth exceeding 3,000 meters. The submarine had broken into 2 major sections. Her hull was mangled and torn. The aft portion appeared almost entirely crushed, a chilling testament to the incredible pressure at those depths. Debris from inside the sub was scattered across the ocean floor, indicating a violent, sudden failure. While the discovery brought some answers, it raised even more troubling questions. The official inquiry determined that the most likely cause of the sinking was an internal torpedo detonation. According to this scenario, a torpedo on board misfired, triggering a chain explosion that destroyed the vessel in moments. Though this theory sounded reasonable, doubts lingered. How could such a catastrophic malfunction take place aboard one of the Navy's most technologically advanced submarines? Other ideas soon emerged. Declassified documents later revealed that months before the Scorpion's disappearance, U.S. intelligence had intercepted Soviet messages suggesting they were actively hunting an American sub. This led to speculation that the Scorpion may have been drawn into a covert undersea confrontation, possibly ambushed by a Soviet submarine. If such an event had occurred, both superpowers would have had strong reasons to keep it secret, wary of escalating tensions into full-blown conflict. Yet there was another angle. The Scorpion had a known history of technical difficulties. Previous missions had revealed persistent mechanical faults, issues with her propulsion systems, torpedo launching mechanisms, and even her electrical wiring. Some believe these long-standing problems may have finally caused her destruction, particularly under the intense conditions of the deep ocean. Whatever the true cause, all 99 crew members aboard the USS Scorpion were lost in a single devastating moment. The wreck's discovery offered a form of closure, but the deeper truth remains elusive. The painful questions continue to haunt families and investigators alike, and the Scorpion's tragedy was not an isolated one. In the span of just 4 months, 4 submarines from 4 different countries disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Israel's INS Dakar, France's Minerve, the Soviet Union's K-129, and America's USS Scorpion. Each case had its own puzzle, each story filled with speculation and fragments of evidence, but all were swallowed by the same deep, unsettling silence. Were they merely a series of tragic, unrelated accidents? Or was something far more disturbing at play? Sabotage, secret warfare, or perhaps something we have yet to comprehend? What do you think happened? Cold War cover-ups, equipment failures, or something even stranger? Drop your theories in the comments. I'll be reading every single one. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the unknown, give this video a like, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Until then, take care and stay curious.